business perspective, but not from a technology perspective. I'll just throw one other thing out there I was going to say, which is I think it depends on what you want to do with the data as well. I mean, I think some of these companies have sort of figured out some of the analytics that you might want to do for you, but for other use cases, it might be a real proprietary advantage what you want to do with that data. So you may not be able to host it, with somebody else because it's really a differentiator for your business. You don't want other people to know what you're doing. So I think that's another factor to consider.
Actually, as a quick follow-up to that, are you guys aware of other companies other than, I believe, Facebook that have a central data warehouse where different businesses can access directly to experience this data? Is it completely just Facebook, or is that the trend in the valley? Or
I think it is a trend. I mean, I think Sears actually, there's been some interesting things written about Sears going in that direction, which you think of, major retailer. You would think they would be, compared to Facebook, but they are, and they're making huge investments in Hadoop and starting to get rid of all these different siloed data warehouses. So I do think that's the future.
Hi, my name is Matt Bogan. I'm from DataGoo. My question is actually just specifically for Justin. Do you guys intend to roll out any tools or products that would be combining SQL with other non-relational databases, or are you going to stay kind of in the new world? And if you are staying in the new world, are there other tools out there that exist for the other non-relational databases?
So other non-relational databases like Cassandra, and like just other NoSQL,
Mongo.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, got it. Yeah, so I think at some point in the future we would be interested in doing that, but for now we're very focused on the Hadoop ecosystem today.
There's actually a tool that's on its way to doing that. I think it's called Hoptoad, and I know that there was another company that was called Hoptoad, and they had a product called Hoptoad, and they changed around. But there's a company that does that where you can put a bunch of non-relational databases together underneath, and then you can write SQL-like queries on top of it. It's something to do with toads. If I should wrong about Hoptoad, I know it's something to do with toads.
I'm Aaron Franco. I'm the CTO of ClicksLive. We work with data on a daily basis, and there's a lot has been said tonight about small data, big data, data in general. I'm just trying to kind of put it into context for people who aren't actually data analysts. And I think Simple Reach said something about usable data, and I'm just wondering where. I think maybe for Hadoop it's a bit easier to understand. Maybe even for Bing it's a bit easier to understand what is usable data for their customers. But I'm just wondering in context, what do you consider to be, because you have the structured, unstructured, big, small data, and you're talking about making this data into quote-unquote usable data. And I can understand what that means for an analyst, but what does that mean for like a marketer or your business customer? Like what makes this unstructured or structured data usable?
I think that's a case-by-case thing. I mean, ultimately, if you have... Yeah, so again, I don't want to speak for anybody else, but even within our product at Simple Reach, we have different people who have different use cases. So individual publishers may export their data into an Excel CSV, which will have 50, 60,000 rows and 75 to 100 columns, and that's a lot to work with. Maybe it's a week's worth of data that totals up to that much. Maybe that's a month's worth of data, but that could be a lot for some people to work with. On the aggregate scale, at Simple Reach, we work with a lot more data because we don't go just within that siloed version of what we call a publisher or a brand or an advertiser. So on the aggregate set, we work with billions and billions of structured and unstructured pieces of data, but it's a very, very individual use case. Data size is whatever you're comfortable with.
I think, just to add on, from our side, we find that there is definitely individual exploration, which is why the tools we all are going to build allow you to explore. But there do seem to be consistent KIs that people don't understand. Like just knowing your SEM turns out to be poor on weekends. You actually correlate your revenue to SEM in a real fashion, or your acquisition in Facebook is just driving up no new customers, it's just getting your old customers to buy, can change behavior. So we definitely try to know a lot of these tools try to show at least a few of those early wins where they say, okay, I can save 20% of my budget here because I really shouldn't be running my ads at 2 a.m. in the morning, right? Or I should be going after new customers because I'm only getting old customers and that budget may go on. That kind of stuff.